Understanding food labels can be quite confusing, especially with misleading claims and health star ratings. Today we'll discuss what to look out for on a food label, including hidden ingredients, allergens, and how to truly determine if a food is healthy. Joining me now is Kate Save, dietitian from Be Fit Food. It's wonderful to see you. What should I be looking for when it comes to these labels? I feel like I have to do maths.
It is tricky. So I can tell you what not to be fooled by is when you pick up the front of the packet. The claims on the front of the packet often really don't mean anything meaningful at all. They are marketing ploys. So a lot of the time things say no added sugar, but the only ingredient in that product is actually some type of high sugar ingredient. And sugars can have hidden names as well, as we know, but we'll go into that later. But what I find is really important is actually looking at the ingredients list. The first 3 ingredients on that ingredients list in a food are going to be what it's mostly made up of, because ingredients are listed from highest to lowest. So if something looks like it's a vegetable product, but vegetables don't fall in those first 3 ingredients, and you've got sugar and salt and flour, then it's not a vegetable product, even if the picture on the front looks like vegetables.
That is a very good point to make, those first 3 ingredients, and that actually simplifies it down for people like myself, or if you're in a rush and whatnot and they think, oh goodness, I'm not going to look at all of this scientific jargon. It's good to know that those top 3 ingredients there. Why is the nutritional information panels misleading in so many different cases? Obviously it's a marketing ploy in some form or another, right?
Well, coming back to when the Atwater factor was created, this is the bomb calorimeter that we talked about. So how we actually discovered how many calories was in food. This was in the 19th century. So that science is really, it still exists and we use it every single day. However, it is outdated and it's actually incorrect. So we used to get food, put them in a bomb calorimeter.
Interesting,
Can't
okay.
Get that word out
I'll Google
today.
it later.
And then we look at how the water temperature actually increases to determine how many calories in that food. Now, from that, we also were able to determine that protein and carbohydrates had 4 calories per gram and fat had 9 calories per gram. But we now know that protein is overestimated in calories by about 30%, because the way the human body processes that protein and the thermic effect of food means we don't absorb all of those calories. And what's really misleading on the labels is when you pick up, for example, a packet of almonds, whole almonds, if you were to chew them and eat them, you would lose about 30% of those calories through your bowels, because you're not going to process all of it. Whereas if you took ground almonds that are still 100% almond and you consumed that, you're going to absorb most of those calories, because the cell walls of that whole food have been broken down. So the fats in your bloodstream are going to rise much quicker and much higher, and you're going to absorb more calories. Yet on a label, we're showing they're the same, and they're not really the same.
It is always a science experiment, Kate. I love it when you come into the studio and talk to me through this stuff, because there are so many things I don't know, and our audience as well, I'm sure. So how can ingredients be hidden within food labels? I mentioned those scientific terms and jargon and whatnot. Take us through a little bit more about that.
Well, it is the names for these ingredients. So sugar's not just called sugar. We all know this. And a good trick is anything that ends in O's, OSE, is a derivative of sugar. So it could be maltose, lactose, galactose, fructose. So that's a really good one. And secondly, it's any type of sugar is sugar, whether it's beet sugar, cane sugar, molasses, maple syrup, honey, coconut sugar, it's all sugar. And going back to the labels and those nutrition information panels, where I find it really deceiving is if you were to get 2 nutrition information panels, and I did a little comparison that I sent to you for a look, and I'm not sure if you could tell what these 2 foods were. They both had a similar amount of calories, around 140, 160. They both had the same amount of protein, around 2 grams each, the same amount of polyunsaturated fats, and the same amount of sugars, 0.6 of a gram. One food is half an avocado, which contains all these beautiful essential fatty acids and vitamins and minerals. The other was a serve of Dorito chips.
Love them.
So how can a label or a nutrition information panel be so confusing and misleading? And that's where it's the ingredients that count most. Yes, the carbs were a little bit different and the sodium was different, but a lot of those other numbers were very, very similar. So don't just look at the panel.
Very, very interesting. Talk to us through a little bit about the may contain issue that we tend to see.
Oh, it's hard to even go there because as a food manufacturer with BeFit Food, we have to put some of these statements on the food.
Yeah.
But what it does is it stops people who really need low allergen food, whether that's gluten-free or nut-free or dairy-free or fish and shellfish-free.
And we're seeing more of them.
Yeah, being able to actually eat anything. So we make a concerted effort to have a gluten-free kitchen so that people can eat the food, but it would be easy enough to just not bother with that and just put a may contain statement on absolutely everything because there's less care, less responsibility. So I think manufacturers need to step up and really dig a little bit deeper and put that extra effort in. So we're not limiting the diets of people that already have limited dietary intake with allergies and intolerances.
Okay, so just to finish, what should we be looking for, I suppose, if you could wrap it all up for us today, Kate?
Quickly, if it doesn't have a label, it's probably worth eating. Secondly, don't just use the health star ratings either because you can get an ice cream that has 4 stars or you can get a chicken nugget, a tempura chicken nugget with 4 health stars. Yet something like full cream milk or something like butter has 1 star. Unsalted butter is 1 star. You can get a margarine with 4.5 stars and 20 ingredients, and we don't even know what half of them are.
I'm not sure where you got my shopping list from, but the chicken nuggets and whatnot have probably got to go. Kate, as always, thanks for joining me. And of course, thank you to all of you out there in television land. Hopefully you've learned something from our discussion today. You can make some more sense of those health star ratings and whatnot. I, of course, look forward to seeing you all again very soon, right here on Ticker. Be well.
You're watching Ticker. We'll have more in just a few minutes.